All right, so this is your last page of the review. So page 3. Okay, so again, these are a lot of review questions that are from previous chapters. Okay, so the first thing is, what is the equation of the line? Okay, so the first two things we need to figure out, because this is a linear line, so that means that we're going by the equation y equals mx plus b. Okay, the first thing we need to figure out is the slope of the line. Okay, the slope and the y-intercept, or the starting value. Okay, so again, the starting value is simply wherever it crosses the y-axis. So that means it's going to be -5, which means if I go back to these equations over here, it's definitely not going to be that one because that's +5. Okay, so that means it has to be this, this, or this. So we got to figure out the slope to kind of basically figure out what this is exactly. Okay, so now the slope, we're going to start at one point, okay, and go to another point. And again, it doesn't have to be these dots. These just happen to be on the line and make it a little easier for us. But it just has to be where the line crosses all grid lines, or remember what we call a lattice point. Okay, so anyways, we're going to go from here to here. So we're going to go up. Looks like we're going to go up 3 and then over 4. So remember the rise, the 3, goes on top, and the 4, the run, goes on the bottom, so it's 3 over 4, which then, of course, means that our equation is y equals 3 quarters x minus 5. Okay? Which x value is a solution to the system of equations? All right? So what I am going to do here is I'm going to solve this. Okay? And the reason I'm going to do that is you notice that I have opposites here. +4 and -4. So that will cancel by elimination. I'm going to add up the -6 plus 3, that's -3x, and then 7 minus 4, that's 3. And notice I'll be able to solve for x and find it right away. So now I divide by -3 on both sides. And then this becomes, and this is where you got to be careful. Some of you guys forget about dividing by a negative here. If that's negative, I need to divide by a negative, because if you don't, you're going to get +1, whereas actually the answer is -1 because it's a positive divided by negative here. So that would be the difference between me circling this one and this one. Okay. All right. So now the next one, and remember on the test that these multiple choice questions, you get 2 points, one for showing the work and one for actually getting it correct. So make sure you're showing your work so you can get full credit for each of these. Okay. Which graph matches the system? All right. So let's start with the y-intercepts. Okay. So the y-intercept of one of them is -2, and the other one is -3. All right, so let's just make sure that's the same on all these graphs. So I got here, I've got positive, I see a +3, so it's definitely not that one. Here I see a +3 again. And actually, you know what? I think there was a mistake. So I think actually what this is supposed to be is +3. That's not supposed to be -3. So actually that could be the one that we're looking for. All right, so, and also, I think there's some mistakes on this one. So actually, you know what? So let's actually go by, let's just say that there is no mistake. Okay. So let's not say that. Let's say this is right. Okay. So this says it's -3 and -2. Well, if you notice that none of these lines have a -2 and a -3 as their y-intercept. This is +3, that's +3, that's +3, and that's also +3. So that means none of these lines have this y-intercept. Some of them have the -2. Actually, a lot of these do. 3 of them do. And the one that has -2 is supposed to have a positive slope. So the one that looks even closer to that would probably be this one, because this one right here is a positive slope and it starts at -2. But because I don't have any of these with a negative y-intercept of 3 and a y-intercept of -2 at the same time, I would go for none of above here. Okay. All right. So this next one, solve the equation for x. Okay. Well, first thing I want to do is I want to get x by itself. I know it's a fraction. Okay. But don't panic yet. First, let's get rid of this 8, just like you would with any other equation. So -8. Okay. And then 5 over 6x. 3 minus 8 is -5. And now here's what we're going to do. We're just going to get rid of the fraction. Okay, so to get rid of the fraction, I multiply 6 on both sides. So that cancels that 6 out, and I have 5x equals negative 5 times 6, which is negative 30. And then the last step is just to divide 3. Sorry, divide 5, not 3. Okay, that becomes 1, and then negative 30 over 5 is negative 6. And so x equals 6, negative 6 is our answer. All right, so now multiplying. Multiply. Okay, so multiply the binomial to find the product. Okay, well here, just like we did in those last day in notes for day 10, again, if it's squared, that means we're going to repeat this twice. Oops, I've got an extra parenthesis in there. All right, so that means I'm going to set up a 2 by 2 box. Okay, 3x minus 5 on this side and 3x, the same thing over here. And now I'm going to multiply it out. 3x times 3x, 9x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15. And then it's the same thing here. 3x times negative 5 again, negative 15x. And then negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. Okay, so I'm going to write this out. So 9x squared, and then negative 15 minus 15. Well, those are both negative, so I add them. So negative 30x, and then plus 25. So that would be none of these. All right, so it's another none of these, or none of the above. Okay? All right, last couple here. All right, so which equation represents this sequence? All right, well, it's increasing quite fast, so that probably means that it's multiplication, okay, that this is a geometric pattern. Now, notice that, first of all, the zero term is in 3/4, so that means the first number has to be 3/4, which means it's not this one and it ain't that one. So it's one of these two. So basically, it's either multiplying by 6 or it's multiplying by 8. Okay, so what I can do to confirm that is I'm just going to take 48 and divide it by 6. And I know 48 to 6 is divided by 6 is 8. So that is our pattern. So that means it's this one here. Okay. All right, so now the last one here. Which point is a solution to the system of equations? All right, so what I notice is that the y value is negative 3. So I already know that it can't be this one because the y value is not negative 3. So it's going to be one of these three if it is one of those three. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to solve to find the x value. So what I'm going to do, since this is already by itself, I'm going to just go ahead and plug this into the y of the other equation. So x equals negative 4 times minus 3 plus 1. Okay, so all I did was plug in the negative 3 into y because it's equal to y. So now it's just simply negative 4 times 3, that's positive 12. Then plus 1, that's 13. So that means x equals 13, which must mean it's this one here, 13 and minus 3. So all you had to do was plug that in and simplify, and then you can figure out which one is the correct solution. Okay? All right, that's it for your review.